Chelsea ready to hold Besiktas talks over Raheem Sterling exit, but player wants London stay. Chelsea are bracing themselves for a decisive week in the transfer market as they attempt to trim down Enzo Maresca's bloated squad before the window shuts on September 1st. Among the players on the chopping block is Raheem Sterling, the club's highest earner, whose Stamford Bridge career appears to be all but over. The Blues are in active talks over Nicolas Jackson and Christopher Nkunku, both attracting attention from Aston Villa, but it is Sterling's future that may see the most dramatic developments in the coming days. Besiktas to send delegation for Sterling. According to Court Offside, Turkish giants Besiktas are preparing to send a delegation to London in the next few days to accelerate negotiations for the 30-year-old winger. The club are desperate to add attacking quality before their own deadline and see Sterling as an ambitious, marquee signing. Besiktas have a recent history of swooping for high-profile Premier League players in need of a reset, and Sterling fits that profile perfectly. They view him as a player who could raise their domestic dominance and give them a boost in European competition. For Chelsea, the appeal is obvious: they want Sterling gone. Chelsea's motivation to sell. Raheem Sterling was the first major signing of the Todd Boehly Bali era, joining from Manchester City in July 2022 for £47.5 million. At the time, Boehly was acting as Chelsea's interim sporting director, and Sterling was seen as a statement signing, a proven Premier League star with leadership qualities to guide a young squad. But things haven't gone to plan. Appearances, 95. Goals, 20. Assists, 11. Major trophies, 1, Club World Cup, 2025. While those numbers aren't disastrous, they are underwhelming when compared to his £300,000 a week wages, making him Chelsea's highest paid player. His lack of consistency, injury problems, and inability to adapt to different managers' systems have left him on the fringes. Enzo Maresca has made it clear he wants to build around Cole Palmer, Mykhailo Mudryk, and Noni Madueke in wide positions. That leaves no room for Sterling, who has been training but not integrated into Chelsea's pre-season tactical plans. The club's stance is straightforward: permanent sale only. The problem, Sterling's wages and preference. The major stumbling block remains Sterling's contract. His salary is simply too high for most suitors. Former Aston Villa striker Gabriel Agbonleha recently told TalkSport that no one is going to buy Raheem Sterling this summer because of his wages. That claim has some truth to it. Besiktas are one of the few clubs willing to take on part of his salary, but even then, a compromise may be needed. Complicating matters further, Sterling would prefer to remain in London. He has been linked with Fulham, who reportedly explored a loan move earlier this summer. However, Fulham supporters were quick to voice skepticism, warning their board not to pursue the out-of-favour Chelsea winger. This tension, between Chelsea's desire for a clean break, Besiktas' interest, and Sterling's preference to stay in London, could drag negotiations right to the deadline. Sterling's career in decline. At 30, Sterling should be in the prime of his career, but his trajectory has stalled. Once a key figure for Manchester City and England, he has struggled to maintain those standards in West London. At Manchester City, 2015 to 2022, 131 goals, 74 assists, for Premier League titles. At Chelsea, 2022 to 2025, 20 goals, 11 assists, inconsistent minutes, loaned to Arsenal. His loan spell at Arsenal last season showed glimpses of quality, but Mikel Arteta chose not to make the move permanent, seeing Sterling as surplus to his project. Now, as Chelsea enter another rebuild, Sterling finds himself squeezed out once more. Chelsea's wider clear-out. Sterling is just one of several players the Blues are trying to offload before September 1st. Nicolas Jackson, linked to Aston Villa, Newcastle, Bayern Munich. Christopher Nkunku, interest from Villa, Leipzig, Bayern. Axel Disasi, Wolves and Bournemouth circling with creative offers. Chelsea's owners are desperate to reduce the wage bill, raise transfer funds, and streamline a squad that has been oversized since the early days of the Boehly era. What happens next? Besiktas will soon arrive in London for face-to-face talks. They remain optimistic they can persuade Sterling to join, but it will require flexibility from both Chelsea and the player himself. If no deal with Besiktas is struck, the Fulham option could yet resurface late in the window. But one thing is crystal clear: Raheem Sterling's Chelsea career is finished. He arrived as the Burnley project's flagship signing. He now looks set to leave as one of its biggest disappointments. Final verdict. Raheem Sterling's situation sums up the turbulent Burnley era at Chelsea: big spending, big promises, but very little long-term planning. A player once seen as a leader of a new generation has become an expensive spare part. Whether he ends up in Turkey or manages to remain in London, the next few days will decide the fate of one of England's most high-profile wingers of the last decade. For Chelsea, all that matters is finding a suitor. For Sterling, the question is whether he wants a fresh adventure or simply comfort in familiar surroundings. Summary: Besiktas are pushing, Fulham are lurking, but Sterling's wages and personal preferences make this a complex deal. What's certain is that his Chelsea chapter is over. Wolves explore creative deal for Chelsea's Axel Disasi as Bournemouth enter the race. Axel Disasi's Chelsea career looks to be nearing its end, but the France international could be set for another lifeline in the Premier League. With just over a week left of the summer transfer window, both Wolverhampton Wanderers and Bournemouth are preparing to test Chelsea's resolve with late moves for the centre-back, who appears to be well outside Enzo Maresca's first-team plans. Disasi's Chelsea struggles. When Chelsea signed Axel Disasi from AS Monaco in the summer of 2023 for a fee in the region of £38 million, there was optimism that the powerful centre-back would be a long-term defensive solution at Stamford Bridge. His athleticism, aerial strength, and experience with the French national team made him an exciting prospect. However, things never truly worked out. Disasi struggled to adapt to the pace of the Premier League, often finding himself exposed in Chelsea's high line. While he produced some solid performances, consistency was an issue. By the second half of the 2024-25 season, he had been loaned out to Aston Villa, where he made only 7 Premier League appearances and failed to secure a permanent deal. Villa were quick to confirm they had no plans to keep him beyond the temporary spell. Now back at Chelsea, the situation hasn't changed. Despite Levi Colwill's serious ACL injury this summer, Marresca has not reintegrated Disasi into his plans. With Thiago Silva, Wesley Fofana, recently fit again, Trevoh Chalobah, and Benoit Badiashile all competing for minutes, Disasi remains on the outside looking in. Wolves' creative plan. According to Court Offside, Wolves are now pushing to sign Disasi and are exploring a creative deal structure that could finally tempt Chelsea into selling. Rather than offering a straightforward fee, Wolves are proposing a package based heavily on performance-based bonuses.